The Bravia Quad is Sony's unique sound system, and it is going to be carried over for 2025. So I wanted to take a look at it this year and see exactly, is this going to be worth it for a lot of people? Now, before we get started on this review, I want to be very clear on a couple of things. This specific review might be a little bit different than some of the reviews you've seen in the past. And one of the reasons for that is because I'm not going to be throwing a lot of specs at you, and I'm not really going to be throwing any marketing words at you as well. This is going to be just how I felt this experience treated me with a subwoofer and without a subwoofer. And I think it's really important to look at it without a subwoofer because that's how it comes out of the box. There's not a subwoofer with this product. And another thing I want to be really clear on is that Sony did send me this product to check out. So the Bravia Quad is going to come in a box that looks very much like a TV box. And the setup process for this is going to be a little bit daunting at first. If you just see this product, you unbox it, you're like, okay, now I'm in for a little bit of an install process. And that's because the speakers itself come with some stands, and then you have to screw those together. If you're going to be putting them on a tabletop, then you have to go and find a location for them if you're going to be putting them on the tabletop, or you could go ahead and wall mount it if you want. But you do have to remember that these aren't fully wireless speakers. They are going to require wall outlets. And once you do hook it up to the right wall outlet, then you need to make sure that it is in the right location. And luckily, on the back of the speaker itself, it does tell you where to put it. After that, the setup process is pretty straightforward. All you need to do is go through the Sony app to set this up. And I wasn't even using a Sony TV to set it up for the very first time. I was using a Samsung TV. And then after that, I used an LG TV. And then after that, I did use the Sony TV, which does have exclusive features that I'm not going to get into in this video because I want to make sure it appeals to everybody and not just people that have a Sony TV. With all that out of the way, I want to start with the experience just by itself without a subwoofer. And for this experience, I was going to use a game called Expedition 33. It just came out. It is already my game of the year and just an absolutely breathtaking soundtrack as well to go along with it. So I thought this would be the perfect game to test the Bravia Quad. From the start loading this game up on the actual menu itself, I was met with a beautiful surround experience. This is one of my favorite tracks on the game itself, and so hearing this in surround sound for the first time was a really cool experience. The best way I could describe the actual sound of this product is that it is going to give you a 360-degree dome around you. The clarity from each instrument and each location that it's coming from on the track is just really great. And I haven't got that experience from a lot of soundbars, to be honest with you. And some of the soundbars that can give you a similar experience to this, you really need to make sure it is a full setup with the rears and sometimes even two rears. Now, one thing with this sound system by itself is that you will not be getting the same low frequencies that you'd be getting with a subwoofer. So there will be times where you're listening to the Bravia Quad and there's something that you know has a lower frequency in it. It won't sound as good as with a subwoofer. In fact, it might sound a little bit muddy, and I don't think it has the frequency range to handle these low bass frequencies to begin with. So adding a subwoofer to this is going to be almost a must. Let's go ahead and turn on some music that I know has some bass in it. And that's where I ran into some problems. I didn't think that the Bravia Quad sounded that great with some bass heavy tracks. This could create a little bit of a muffled sound, almost like you would have a cup to your ear. You kind of got that feeling out of the Bravia Quad at times. Adding the SW3 immediately did clean it up quite a bit. I definitely got that cup sound to go away with the SW3 being added. and it did feel like I got a little bit more clarity out of the other sounds now that the BRAVIA Quad didn't have the responsibility of messing with some of those lower frequencies. With that said, the SW3 is going to really only be recommended for a small room. I don't think the SW3 is really going to get the job done. It doesn't give you that same impactful feeling with bass that the SW5 gives you, and I'll get to that with movies here in just a second. As long as you're not expecting the world out of the SW3, it's going to do the job of a subwoofer, but you'll probably want a little bit more bass than this. Movies without the subwoofer was an okay experience. Whenever we had low frequencies involved, that's when we actually got some of that muddiness back. And the other thing with the BRAVIA Quad in movies is when I felt like there was a lot going on with the sound. At times I felt like I heard more of the ambient noises than I did the actual soundtrack of the movie. And I don't know, it just felt like there was a little bit of a balance issue when you were using the quad by itself. And at times I did still get that feeling that maybe I had a cup up to my ear with the BRAVIA Quad. So let's go ahead and add the subwoofer, the SW3, and see does that make it disappear. Adding the SW3 did help quite a bit, and it is going to be better than using it without a subwoofer. But the actual impactfulness of the movie, I don't think it was really that great, to be honest with you. I didn't feel like I was in a movie theater like you would hope for with a sound system like this. The SW5 is so much more superior than the SW3. I can't begin to explain how much of a difference it is. It's just something that if you're getting the BRAVIA Quad, you probably should get the SW5, and I know that's going to be a big price tag, which I will discuss. I think that is kind of an issue. So the BRAVIA Quad by itself, it does feel like for the price, I could get a better sound system. Now, I don't think the BRAVIA Quad is meant to be by itself though. So I do think that if you add the SW3, it'll be a better experience than getting without it. But I do highly recommend just getting the SW5 with the BRAVIA Quad if it's within your budget. But that's the big elephant in the room here with the BRAVIA Quad, in my opinion. I don't think that it's for everybody. I really don't. I think that this is a very premium product that you sort of have to overpay a little bit for, because I have heard soundbars that can give people a pretty good experience. Not quite this experience, but very close to it for much less money than the BRAVIA Quad. All in all, I think that the BRAVIA Quad is an excellent product. I do think it's probably one of the only products that's not a soundbar that can give you a real big home theater sound. And yes, it can be kind of a pain to set up and to get it right within your home. But if you're going for this look, I think it's one of the best looking sound systems you can have on the market right now. The main competitor to this, in my opinion, is going to be a soundbar, kind of like the Samsung 990 series, and you will be able to find that complete system cheaper than the BRAVIA Quad, and it'll get you almost close to what the BRAVIA Quad can give you, but not quite to the same experience in terms of that dome feeling. 360-degree sound is definitely immersive. It is very much as advertised in a lot of ways. All in all, if you guys have any questions at all regarding the BRAVIA Quad, I will answer them in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.